So today we are going to be discussing how to build a healthy relationship with your past, your present, and your future self in relation to imposter syndrome. So welcome back to our podcast. This is season 2 of the Scholar Voice podcast. This is the second year of this podcast, and we are all very excited to be returning. Me, Addie, and Perry are returning, and Anna is new. We're very excited to welcome her to the group this year. And I would like to give a special shout out to two of our missing members, Eve and Tasane. Now, my name is Alex, and I am from the First Star Academy in Kent State.
My name is Adelise Hollis, and I am a First Star alumni from Loyola in Chicago.
My name is Perry, and I'm part of the First Star Academy in Arizona State.
My name is Anna, and I'm a First Star alumni from BGSA, California.
So today we will be starting with me and Anna. We will be discussing a perspective on your past self. So I would just like to start with making the point of, as you're thinking of your past self, I just want you to know that you shouldn't try to forget, because even though many of the memories may be hard, it is something that you need to process. That'll make you a better person, and it'll help you develop as the person that you're able to be. So, Anna, how do you feel about it?
Well, I totally agree with what you just said. If you don't acknowledge your past self, you can't acknowledge your present self. Therefore, you can't really acknowledge your future self. And it's just always important to remember your past. You don't have to remember all the finest details, but just acknowledge it. It's important.
Yes, of course. And also, I would just as you're growing and making new relationships and just understanding other people and their past, you can start letting down your walls. Just the walls that you have built yourself to protect yourself. Because someone with a past that may not have been the brightest will put up walls just to protect themselves from anything that bad that may happen again. And as you progress in your life, you are able to let those walls down as you meet people that you feel that you can.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So just one last point on this is just you have to love your past self. Even if it's hard, even if you did some certain things in your past that you're not proud of, you have to learn to love yourself and accept your past self for who that person may have been. Because as your past self grew, they became you. So it is you, and you need to love yourself as just a person and as a soul. So next, we will be introducing Perry, and they have an interesting perspective on your future self.
I thought of the question because I put so much more pressure on myself, my future self, I mean, so much more pressure on my future self than I do even on my present or past self. Um, and it's to compensate for stuff I've been through. It's kind of as a direct result of what I've been through. Um, and even though it's not necessarily a any kind of standard or pressure I put on my present self, even today I feel the burden of wanting to be something specific. So, to be better to myself and have a roundedly healthy relationship with myself, um, it starts with breaking down those things that you've done, these nets or safety nets, or things that you just learn to do, or things that are a result of a time that isn't really there anymore, a situation that you aren't really in anymore. Um, So that was my point. Those were a couple of my points about the future self. Um, and I know Addie had something to say, so I'll allow Addie to speak now.
Of course. Thank you for sharing. And before I jump in, I just want to say breaking down those walls, you're literally doing it right now. We're doing this. It starts by breaking down that conversation, starting that conversation, and also you're also being so vulnerable like right now in this like public space. You know, no one asked you to do this, but you're deciding to do this. And you're already taking that action. So seeing your words as action is such a beautiful thing to witness in each of you. I've seen so much growth, even in just this episode alone. I mean, Perry, like you have to applaud yourself for going through the past because while we cannot change necessarily the past, we can determine what narrative, how are we going to tell that story to ourselves and to other people. But firstly, I believe that the power of now allows us to access the power of the past and the power of the future in a healthy way. And the term healthy is is subjective from so many different perspectives. But guess what? You get to create what healthy means for you. And so this idea of the imposter syndrome affects everyone, and yet everyone has a unique relationship with their imposters. Oftentimes we actually see ourselves as the imposters. And so when we kind of break it down a little bit more, what is preventing us from being present with ourselves? And are we really the imposters that we think we are, that our mind says that we are? No, we are not the imposters. We are the person living, breathing, moving, walking, doing everything that some other person said we couldn't do. And so this internal, external world impacts our internal reality, our present moment. So to know that this relationship exists within ourselves, this current state of awareness, is something no one can take away from us. No matter how many times we had to pack our garbage bag of clothes and belongings, leave our friends and family, witness people leave our lives, our environment and external selves change, our relationship with ourselves is the most sacred relationship we will ever have. And I believe that within each of us lies an inner child, our inner child, the child that was before society took hold of us, before we thought we were behind, before we were running on the treadmill trying to catch up to who? When we were a child, everything there was not a sense that I was behind. I was always more present than probably I like to admit now, but that doesn't mean that I can't come back to her. You can always come back to her. You can always come back to your inner child. And this inner child wants to be loved. They want to be held in our arms when they cry. They want to play. They want to ask questions. They want to be accepted for who they are. And that child is also you. So I know this is a lot to conceptualize, but just keep following with me. We have the power of now to access our authenticity. I look after my past, present, and future self. I prepare for her. I adjust based on her current needs. I honor her fully by each moment. I turn to her. I remind her to cry. I invite her to laugh. I invite her to humiliate herself. I love her for both the good and the bad. She carries the lessons past me wasn't sure she could carry. Think about that. Think about yourself a year ago. Think about what you told yourself. Think about what you've accomplished right in this moment. She holds herself because she knows love is not the destination. Love is all around her. Love is within her. So, dear past me, you were enough. Dear present me, you are enough. Dear future me, you will always be enough. And so I think we do have to remind these selves, all of these selves, it shouldn't be a burden. We shouldn't be burdens. We were created in this world to live, not to die. not to be a burden, not to be buried. I mean, of course, death is inevitable, but I like to believe there's always life. There's always life. And so, my hope for each of us is that when we are struggling to understand our thoughts, our behaviors, our beliefs, our actions, we're yo-yoing between what is reality, we kind of come back to this podcast episode and realize what we just said in that moment, and then how much we've grown since then, and also love this person that we are right now. Because if we don't love ourselves right where we are right now, how can we expect to be there for that person tomorrow, yesterday? And so, to conclude, I have some words of wisdom. Stop. Just breathe. Look around you. You have arrived. You are here. You are not running anymore. You have been running all your life. But now you're deciding to stop because you have learned that life is here. And when you stop, happiness starts to be possible. You are the destination. You already are, and you always will be. Thank you.
That was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. I would like to just thank all of you guys for sharing today. And I just want to ask a couple of questions because all of you had such amazing points. One, just to start with Terry. So as you're thinking of the future, like I get the fear, but are you ever really like excited to meet your future self?
Um, yeah, I as much doom and gloom I have for just, getting older and stuff. Um, I see the potential, I see a whole lot of potential. Um, and I and some people, you have to remove yourself from. I think I have a problem with uh kind of being what's not present, but like in the moment. It's hard for me to see the like and comprehend the real world without this kind of fog in front of my eyes of like my own self, like my own emotions or my own thoughts or anything that's going on in my head. Um, but there are times where I just zen, just take a breather, like Addie is saying, and relax, and I kind of just fall out under this cloud in front of my head, and that's when I see so much potential in myself, and it's exciting, um, but it's rough being an adult, and every adult has told me that. So, um, I guess the reason why I have so many goals, or
Hmm.
I there's a specific word. It's like a not necessarily a bar or a quota. Um,
Expectation?
a what?
Like an expectation?
Yes, an expectation, definitely. Um, I just because of the stuff I've been through, like here's the thing. I play guitar, and a lot of you see your guitar players, they start when they're like really young, like under 10, around 10, and I get in my head so much about um like because I haven't started guitar. I only started like in June of last year, and that's not very long ago. I was 15. Um and that's in regards to these other guitar players that have been playing for a long time. I I started late, and again, to compensate for it, I'm ramping up all the expectations. I need to be just as good as these guys who've been playing for longer. Um, but once I kind of chill out and release the pressure. Um, I just find so much appreciation for myself. Some of these people might have been playing guitar longer, and here's the thing: some people might have been playing guitar longer than you, but you might have so much more creativity. You know, you might have so much more passion and love for the instrument, and you just might have something inherently that others don't. Um, it's something out of your control. Again, back to Addie's points with kind of the spiritual aspect, like some things I think kind of just born with and made with. Um, and once I kind of come snap out of it, I can find so much appreciation for myself, regardless of if I've met the standards or not.
Okay, not Perry being vulnerable, walking through the steps and answering their own question to empower themselves. Like you just did it. Like I don't know. I'm really proud of all of you sharing like you said, Perry, each of you are actually born with this gift. You were born with this gift that this perspective is only yours. No one has this perspective like you. There's nobody on this planet that has experienced exactly what you have experienced. They can have similar views, but they have never walked on the same road at the exact same time as you because you were the only one that put your foot there, right? So I think that what I learned from everyone here is that while this journey of self-discovery, self-love, healing can feel intimidating and it can feel that, wow, I'm behind because I'm not mindful, I'm not as present, I'm not this, I'm not that. Okay, forget about the knots. Who are you? Because you're not the knots. Who are you? And I think it reminds me to ask myself, also, this journey was not meant to be alone. And so going back to your point, right? Like, oh man, these guitarists, right? They seem like they're so much better than me. Why don't I just text them or DM them, be like, hey, wow, I'm so inspired by you. Like, can we like collaborate? Like, because I love what you do, and I see I bring this flavor to the table, and you see, this is what I think I can add. Actually, this is what I can add, not what I think, but I'm just inspired by you, and you know what? I just want to gain a better community. Like, I feel like we live in a society, at least in America, where it kind of feels like we're on this journey alone. And like you said, Perry, we had to be adults because we never had someone look after us and ask us, you know, um, guide us to the future. So we actually feel like both the parent and the child. And that in itself is a responsibility no one really understands. But yet a lot of people still feel that. And I feel like it's because we don't have these conversations. We're not starting podcasts and talking about real life, right? So I hope this inspires you because it inspires me to to witness each of you share your truth because I also learn from it. So I'm also a student here as well. So thanks for your participation and this conversation in general.
I would just like to add that you guys have so many words of wisdom. I wanted to just like write it down. But I want to like piggyback on something that you said about the journey that we feel alone. And you
Mm.
said that this isn't supposed to be alone. We were never meant to be alone. And that is so true. We are not meant to be alone. And that's why this is like a great opportunity for each other because we have each other. And
Mm.
we, yeah, that's that's just great.
Yes,
Yes.
I love all of your guys because they're Addie, Anna, and Terry. You guys are just so inspiring, especially because I am youngest and I have experienced much less life than all of you guys have. So it's inspiring to see how you guys have grown and have accepted your true self and everything just like that. And I just want to say I'm proud of all of you guys because today has gone so amazing, and we have just done so great.
I just wanted to say that I really liked Addie has I need an adjective for Addie. She just has so much substance.
So funny. Oh my
Um, and it was just one thing that really resonated with me. Just this one phrase. It was, "You are not the knots." And
God.
it's just so obvious, but it's not something that I necessarily comprehended, it's just it was smart, but it's really true.
Mm.
I don't know, maybe the adjective is goddess, or I don't know.
Oh
She's just
no.
so great.
We are exiting out of this amazing, amazing podcast that we have done today, our first episode. We just want to start a thing of asking the audience, as you have listened to our answers, what have you thought? Have you thought of your own answers? And if so, write them down. So ask yourself the question, how are you going to build a healthy relationship with your past, your present, your future self? And make sure you are really, really focusing in on how that affects any type of imposter syndrome that you've ever felt. And just for those who may not know, imposter syndrome is when you feel as if basically you were lying to yourself. You're not really going through this thing. You never really accomplished this thing. Things like that. It's like you're an imposter just living the life of someone you don't deserve to be. So
Mm.
I just want all of you to ask yourself that question. Just really, really think on it. And if you can, share with people. See how they think. Share this podcast, share everything. Just to get the word out. Because in our new generation, we want to open the world to really good, healthy people who are comfortable with their mental health, comfortable with their past, their present.
Mm.